that Dad had A.L.S. Lou Gehrig's disease, and whoever wants to go first can just go.
November the 16th of 2006. We went down to an A.L.S. clinic, and it was confirmed that they thought, it wasn't still totally sure, but they thought it was Lou Gehrig's.
I came home one night and Dad was like watching Batman, and I was like, so have you found out? And he was like, yeah, I have Lou Gehrig's disease.
You know, kind of hard to help someone that's in that position, especially when you don't really know what's going on.
I had thought that he had a stroke because it was really weird, like his voice was so slow. And
Okay, pass a plate if you want turkey.
it wasn't so sudden, like we knew something was wrong before diagnosis, so that's why it's hard to remember, because it feels like it was like this long kind of process, you know?
There was something about the way he was talking, and he was due for one of his physical checkups with our doctor, Lorraine Page. I was also going in to see Lorraine Page too, so I saw her first and then asked her if she would check Craig out. And she talked to me afterwards, and she thought maybe he'd had a mini stroke or something. And she confirmed that she felt two symptoms. One, that his voice was slurring a little, and also the way he walked was a little different. I'd like to say thanks.
It's sweet.
I had a wonderful weekend in DC with Sue-Ann and Granddad, and they were just wonderful for me, and I'd just like to say thanks.
I'd like to give thanks that we could all be here together, and new additions to the family, of course, and that we're all doing pretty well.
I would like to thank the changing consciousness and the shift in American political leadership.
Oh yeah, I'd like to give thanks to that.
I'm the first one.
Hey for that. Oh my
Hopefully,
God.
we can now look up to our elders in a different, more spiritually connected way.
I think at first he was really hopeful, and because there are cases where someone lives another 10 years. I mean, I say hopeful, it was still devastating, but we thought we were planning for 10, 12 years of a different kind of life. And then as the symptoms increased, he got really just pretty despairing.
It was hard to talk, especially that was a terrible thing. It's like the longer it went on, the harder it was to talk, because just, I couldn't understand him sometimes and try to say something to him, and then, he would try to answer you, but he'd answer 3 times and you still can't understand him, and then he would get really frustrated.
I just remember that he was so defeated by the disease. And I've heard stories of other people trying to take control over it and live with it, but Craig, I don't think, really handled it that way. And that was kind of hard to see in Father.
Alright, it's getting kind of more difficult to ask these questions than I thought it would be, but fourth is, how did your personal life change after, if at all, when Dad was going through the stages of A.L.S. and Lou Gehrig's disease?
That's kind of a ridiculous question to ask Mom, because she dropped everything to take care of Dad.
Well, I know, but
It's totally changed, and
You can pass, Mom.
you can pass.
thank you.
I found myself trying to be out of the house a lot and running away from it a lot. So my personal life didn't change that much, because I was still pretty social. If anything, I became more social because I was just trying to immerse myself with my friends more and trying to forget about it.
I would come, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in between a trip, and it just was so much worse after, it'd be a month, and the difference was huge. It was crazy, and I would think it was bad, and then I would come a month later, and, before you could have a conversation.
I just have a bunch of negative memories of there's good ones filtered in, but for me, I try and focus more on how Dad was before, because that's what I have trouble remembering. Because when I think about Dad, all I can see is the sickness, and it just got worse and worse. And it was the worst disease ever. Because 1 month he's okay, and then a month later you come back and he can't even talk. And you have to feed him through a fucking tube, and so I try and remember all the times I had with Dad before he was sick, because all the sick times they just kind of cloud everything. So I just try and remember those times.
I'll say something else.
Yeah.
I now realize there are some positives in that I think I really took life for granted, an enormous amount, before this experience. And the effect of living with somebody who's trying to live with dying, and then that person going away totally changes your life, and you find a much deeper thing within yourself. But strangely, there's some joy in that discovery also. It's not just all sad. And I'm glad of that,